Hello, my friends. This is Rozani, and I've been working on things that go bump in the night. I've chosen to show you one of three faces. This one I call Phantom, and he starts out as a simple papier mâché round shape, and I've penciled in a face, a mere outline of a person, a wealthy but troubled man, distraught, discouraged, and despicably cruel. And now he must pay the ultimate price, which you will see as he transforms by my own humble hands into the figure of his darkest thoughts, his wicked soul, and cursed existence. Let's continue as I create using liquid starch and different types of tissues, because this time I'm using facial tissue as well as a soft paper napkin along with some tissue paper and some thickened liquid starch. Let's see how we can turn a simple, ordinary round shape into a creature of the night. I suggest you explore all of the possibilities, as I am doing here, with some liquid starch. This batch was a little thick, which is perfect for adding on. And here I used some very soft napkin pieces and facial tissue. And I work over the entire surface of the front, leaving a few gaps around the eyes and the nose, which have been reduced to sockets, already taking on a very ghoulish appearance. And it could be left to dry at this point, but I'm going to take it further. You can make your creatures in so many ways. Just have fun and explore the possibilities. I'll move right along, adding on where I can. However, for this piece, I am not using a reference. I very rarely do. But this is my interpretation. And the unfortunate fate of the man who I shall call Farley. Alas, things are not within his control. He lost it many years ago and is destined to suffer the consequences of loneliness, sadness, solitude, and despair. He goes behind the scenes, listens to his music, observes passers-by silently in the darkness as not to be seen. But he craves beauty. He craves music. And so he devotes his time to the things he knows he can provide for himself. His features become more sunken. His skin turns to bone, surrounding his once distinguishingly prominent human face. But that will no longer be, as his fate has been determined by evil, and his monstrous appearance must be hidden for all time. Can I soothe his wretched soul? I shall give him a hat to wear upon his head. Perhaps it will bring him comfort. Let's keep going. You see, I'm using the black tissue paper here with the liquid starch and working all around that little piece. I work first with the front and touch it up here and there. But you see how it's begun to take shape. Now, I have created this in a small scale, as it is easier for me to work in this manner. But you can work on a larger scale. That's right. Make these in any size that you desire using these techniques with liquid starch and different types of paper. The softer papers mixed with the liquid starch will feel more clay-like. And if you've worked with clay, you can do this quite easily. The features can be sculpted in layers, but always dampened with the liquid starch. It's important to make the starch a little bit pasty around the consistency of white glue or PVA glue. Now I'm going to set him aside to dry. And here he has dried, and I'm going to add on a few more pieces. Now the paper will tend to shrink here and there. You might see a few subtle changes, but not that dramatic. So I'll continue. Please keep in mind that the liquid starch needs to be thick enough to hold the paper fibers together and thin enough to be absorbed into the paper. Now you see I have pressed in some of the black into the crevices. Now later on, of course, it can be painted. But for now, I think it looks a bit dramatic, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. And I fill in here and there. Now I also build up along the surface where I need to. I like to add it to the teeth area so that they stand out a little more. And when they dry, I will define the teeth a bit more. But for now, I just will add them into place. And he's beginning to take shape, to transform into something more unsettling, spooky, grotesque, and horrific, to say the least. For if someone were to gaze upon him, they would surely be startled and perhaps faint. What do you think? Let's keep going and see how far I'll take this piece before I set it aside to dry. I've added on quite a bit, and it is very damp. But I'm going for a certain look, and I want to have as much in place as possible. And when I'm satisfied, I will set him aside. But until then, I'll keep adding on. And the wonderful thing about this process is that you can continue to add on, building it up here and there, emphasizing certain areas, until you're satisfied with the results. It's easy to fill in. And if you need to, take a break, step away, and come back to it. Now, I'm filling in the shadows between the jaw and the cheekbones. And there I'm adding on and it can get quite repetitious. And that's all right, because that's what it's going to take. Now, if you prefer to make separate accessories, you can do so. They don't have to be made with paper, but I enjoy doing this. It's very relaxing for me. I find it very soothing. And also, it challenges my imagination. I like that. I don't always know how they're going to turn out. I make so many little pieces because they are a pleasure to make, especially this time of year. I like to imagine so many possibilities. And I have, honestly, a scary amount of paper. It must be used up, and so I turn it into different things that go bump in the night for Halloween. One of my favorite, if not my most favorite time of year. Ah, yes, he's coming together quite nicely. I think he's looking quite distinguished of sorts. And I'm going to widen the top of his hat a little more. And now it's time for Farley to rest. Until the next time, my friends. Bye for now.